Hello and welcome, everybody. It's your good old pal Tom, and we're here with another TomCast, with things being a little bit different this time around. But as per usual, it's been a little while since the last time, and that's because of usually because of technical difficulties. Because we'll record one and then it'll go to shit. But I digress. You know, it is what it is. But anyway. We're all here now, so we got the whole cast of characters here today. We got Waves, Andrew, and Mike. This is not the first time we've recorded all together. We did try to record one previously, but it didn't go too well. But this will be, as far as the audience is concerned, the first TomCast with all of us together. But we'll just hop down the board, and so Waves, how's it going today?
It's pretty good, you know. Just a standard day. I'm just hanging out, having a good time. It's a nice day outside, except for the wind. It's absolutely insane.
Oh, yeah.
Almost blew me sideways on the highway earlier. But I'm good.
Yeah, another windy day. It's like that in Alberta, pretty much, especially southern Alberta, like Lethbridge area, where we're all from. That's it's stupid wind, but that's because we're basically that plain right after the Rocky Mountains. So that's where, all the wind comes from the Rocky Mountains, and then where does it go? Into the wind tunnel known as the prairies. But anyway, Andrew, let's get up with you. What's going on, G?
Oh, I am just excited to be back in the studio, as it were, with our fancy new setup. Hopefully everything works this time, because we had some fun discussions last time, and it's a shame that they're now kind of lost to the ether. As far as how I'm doing, I'm all right. There's been some shuffling around at work, but that's neither here nor there. And currently, Alberta is going through its 11th winter or something. I don't know. I can't keep track at this point. There's too much. We've gotten quite a bit of snow, and honestly, not a whole lot of wind. So the whole wind tunnel analogy may not hold water this year, but that's just a bit unusual. But yeah, no, excited to be back. Excited to riff with you guys, and let's see what we get into.
Yeah, basically, every single day here in Italy, when somebody complains, because like here where I live in the Val Padana, basically all winter, it's clearing up now because it's spring. We're well into spring now. But through winter, it's basically just fog season. It's Silent Hill, quite literally. Andrew's seen like numerous pictures, probably same with Waves and.
Oh yeah. Every time you send it, it's like, oh, geez, you really are just living in Silent Hill, or the mist is rolling in, so zombie pirates are going to be coming and attacking you anytime. So
yeah, like it's thick fog. It's thick fog, and it sucks in the morning, like because it's like you can't see nothing. But they always complain. It's like, oh man, here I live without sun for this many days of the year, and I'm like, yeah, let me pull up my phone, and then my boss will be like, no, don't do that, stop it. Don't pull up your phone. I know exactly what you're gonna do. Don't do that. But yeah, so it's not too bad, but there are some changes at work for myself as well, but I'll maybe get into that a little bit later. But let's get to our last but not least, good old Michael. Mike, how you been doing, buddy?
I'm pretty good. Been on vacation for the last month, essentially. So I've just been chilling.
Yeah, you've been chilling at home.
Yeah, man. Basically, it's been pretty nice. Yeah. I've been catching up. Just play with my dog, hang out with him. Kazbek's been a handful. I caught him digging in the yard this morning before we hopped on, so I had to go fill that.
No, mine. Has he been digging a lot these days?
Yeah, he's in my backyard. There's so many holes now. I found a little project he's been working on last year for at least a year. I guarantee it. He made himself a nice little bed underneath my porch, digging everything up into like this little, fucking World War II foxhole.
No, my.
Yeah,
little dog.
Yeah,
and precious little creatures.
My good old Russian spy. He's seen some shit clearly.
Yeah. I don't know. This part of me usually talk about the German side or the Italian side and everything, but there is a little German side in Tom that definitely likes to dig holes and be inside of them. So I can relate with Kazbek. It's like an actual old picture when at my mom's house they were redoing the porch, and there's a picture of me like in the giant like foundation hole. And I'm like, yeah, I could stay here forever. It's pretty nice in there.
Something the children yearn for the mines.
Yeah. As they do. Well, that's what we got a whole continent for that sort of stuff. But anyway, yeah, no, been a little on my end, just some goofy little shake up at work. Nothing bad, but just kind of working same place, just different contractor this time. But yeah, same people, same colleagues and stuff like that. Having them argue now that I'm changing from one boss to the other. They're having arguments over who gets to call me their son. So it's stuff like, it's like, he's my son. He's always going to be my son because I raised him. And then the other people, my new bosses or whatever, basically going, no, that's not true. He's under us now, so he's our son, and he's going to get a no contact order. And all that. Even Andrew, like I sent you like a Snapchat of like them literally quite arguing.
Yeah. And for those in the audience, you got to understand, like this sounded like the most passionate argument or discussion I'd ever heard, and it's like something as simple as them trying to unofficially adopt them into the fold, and it was like they must have been talking about something crazy, like nope, just Tom is my son. No, Tom is my son. Like, what? They put that much energy into something like that?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Imagine what the real custody battles are.
How long do they get when they really start to lose it?
It depends where you're from. If you're like from the north or whatever, you just get like really mad and you yell at people. If you're from the south, especially if you're like from Campania or like Calabria, maybe even, no, I wouldn't say Puglia because those guys are, the Pugliese are very chill. But yeah, if you're from like Campania or Calabria or Sicily, whatever, you'll start throwing crap around. I've seen it like in the office next door, like them just screaming. It's like, holy shit, dude. Like, holy cow, who cares? But anyway.
They do, apparently.
Yeah, they do. They care about everything. But yeah, that was basically just some things but apart from that, everything's going well. Got my newish car, an Alfa Romeo 159 or 159. It's a wagon.
Nice.
So yeah, thank you. It's one of those where I've been finding on Amazon and stuff like that, like where you could like put the back seats down and then you can get like a mattress that fits it perfectly. And I want to make a good use of that in the summer. So it's like, oh, okay, we're going down for the weekend. It's like, okay, then I'll, hop in my car right after work and then just drive up to, I don't know, like Austria or Slovenia or something like that and just spend the weekend there and then just sleep in the car. So looking forward to that this summer. But apart from that, so yeah, it seems everybody's doing pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah, can't complain.
Could complain, I won't, but it's pretty good.
Yeah. Already disturbed, please come in. That's what it is. But anyway, I guess we should probably just get going here and start with the news as per usual. But we got 3 news items for us today, and they're pretty good. It's like sometimes the news is really slow, and then sometimes the news is really, really fast. In the last little bit, there's been some things that are that have been quite pertinent that have come out. Some of the like 2 of our stories are kind of bigger. One is like not a nothing burger, but it doesn't mean things are coming. So to start off, our first story is the story of if you fellas have heard of the Embracer Group.
I believe you've talked about them a couple times. I don't remember if we talked about them on the show, but you've definitely mentioned them when we hang out.
Okay. So basically, like, the Embracer Group is another one of these, like, giant publishers over in Europe that has all these different studios and all these different IPs, and they just kind of crunch them together to make this sort of thing.
It's a holding group.
And so, like a holding group, basically. And so this one, they used to have, well, they still do. They still have some studios, but, like, recently, they last couple of years, they've been buying up studios left and right. But they bought like all the Western studios from Square Enix when they sold them off. So that was like Crystal Dynamics, Eidos Montreal, that sort of stuff, where Eidos Montreal, most famous for making the Deus Ex Human Revolution and Mankind Divided games. And they also made the wonderful Guardians of the Galaxy game from a couple years back. That's which is quite incredible for a game. Same with the Deus Ex games; they're pretty good. Even Andrew and I, we were right in front of Eidos Montreal when we went to Montreal.
Yes, we were. Yes, I recall.
Yeah, I pointed my finger at them very menacingly.
Quite angrily, yes. Very menacing.
Yeah. It's good that we didn't hear of the news that they canceled a Deus Ex game when we were there, because then I would have been even more angry. But anyway, so like basically since then, the Embracer Group, one of these big giant holding companies, they were supposed to have a huge deal with some sort of entity, some sort of giant investor that was going to invest them with a bunch of cash, because basically they bought all these studios, noticed that making video games costs money, and then go, uh-oh, what do we do now? We're not making money. And so they were looking for a big investor. And so one of the alleged big investors was the Savvy Games Group, which Savvy Games Group, for the fellas out there that are not familiar, is basically like Saudi Arabia's like technology and like gaming sort of like investment firm. So like in China, there's like Tencent, and Tencent will basically insert themselves into a bunch of things as like investors or even publishers. Savvy is like that sort of thing, except mostly on the investment side, to basically create a diverse like portfolio of studios and investments, so the crown of Saudi Arabia can diversify their investments instead of just not being, oil.
Right.
Last year, sometime, that deal fell through. And that was like a deal for 2 billion euros or something like that, or $2 billion American.
I'd be crying.
So when you had a deal like that fall through, that basically was supposed to fund all of your studios and all of that stuff, then you get into big trouble. And that's exactly what happened. So since then, Embracer Group has basically been hemorrhaging studios, talent, lots of layoffs, lots of game cancellations, that sort of stuff. And so earlier last month in March, precisely around March 14th, there's one of these big groups within Embracer. So like inside of Embracer, there's other publishers. And one of these publishers was Saber Interactive. And so Saber Interactive, they actually started out of Florida as like a single studio, but now they got studios all over. They got a studio in Florida, they got a studio in Portugal, they got a studio in somewhere else in Europe. I want to say like Germany or something like that, or Poland, and then one in Russia. And so basically in early March 14th, the Saber Interactive group actually bought their independence from Embracer Group. So here we go, and we finally get into the news story. So Embracer sells Saber Interactive for $247 million. Selected assets to pass to Saber co-founders' new firm, Embracer, to cease all operations in Russia. So basically that one Saber studio in Russia.
Okay.
We continue. This is on GameIndustry.biz, published by Sophie McEvoy. Sorry. Embracer has sold Saber Interactive for $247 million. As announced by the firm in a statement published today, it has agreed to divest selected assets from Saber to Beacon Interactive, a new company founded by the Saber's co-founder, Matthew Karch. Saber will retain a number of studios as part of the sale, including Nimble Giant, 3D Realms, aka the guys who made Duke Nukem, Sandbox Strategies, New World Interactive, Slipgate, which does a lot of work with 3D Realms for new games,
Right.
Madhead Games, Fractured Byte, and Digic. As well as those studios, they also acquired Zen Studios in 4A Games. 4A Games being the studio from Ukraine, but now they are primarily in Malta. They're the guys who developed the what's it called? The Metro games. So Metro 2033, Metro Last Light, Metro Exodus, and then a few other games. And they actually, it's not in this story, but they actually bought them for roughly another $250 million. So basically it was like a $500 million buyout to buy these companies from Embracer and have them at a new thing. And so this is important. Probably shouldn't bit a little.
Yeah, this is important.
It's important. Immediately eats it. Eats a little thing, a little goofy like Starburst. This is important because Embracer was this big, giant, stupid thing.
Yeah.
And they're hemorrhaging money. And so when you hemorrhage money like that, there's basically only two things you can do. You can either like close studios and let them go, or some studios like Saber Interactive, which had the capital to do it and found investors to also pitch in for it, buy their own independence. And so recently, or I guess right now this year, like Saber Interactive, they have one big game coming out later this year. And that is Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2, which is a game I've been waiting since 2011 to get a sequel for. And I never thought they would release one.
Right.
But like that's going to be a big game and stuff like that. And, you know, they clearly don't want to lose that. They don't want to lose that. So all of these studios that they've acquired, they're all kind of like, apart from Saber Interactive and 4A games, they're all kind of like in the AA sort of space. Only Saber Interactive and 4A games I would call in the AAA space. And with a prior kind of ongoing story that has been going on for a while, basically that like AAA games are just too expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So this new dawn where AA games are going to come back. And I kind of have a little bit to say that near the end and what I've been playing. It's nice to see that they bought their independence instead of having all their studios shut down, because there's a lot of massive talent. Now, another thing that was also confirmed is that within this giant like Embracer sort of hubbub and problems and issues was the question of the Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake. So, to put things into context, in 2022, at like Sony's PlayStation like showcase or whatever, they basically showed the teaser trailer that they were making and funding a Knights of the Old Republic remake. About a year later, they basically saw what the game was like and noticed, wait a minute, this isn't a movie game like every single other game that we do. It's not an over-the-shoulder hack and slash game like God of War or what's the robot dinosaur one? Oh, Horizon. They noticed it wasn't that, and they're like, no, we want nothing to do with it, and they pulled up. And so that was on a different studio. That was in a studio called Aspire Entertainment, and they have been known mostly for ports of Star Wars games.
Right.
So they did the ports for Knights of the Old Republic, Republic Commando, Jedi Outcast. So if you play them like on Switch or you play them on the modern systems that aren't PC, those are ports developed by Aspire. They also have released a very recent remaster that has been getting a lot of shit and will be the topic of a video coming up for myself, but we'll get that later. But basically, like the work that they did apparently was so bad and so offensive to Sony that the work got taken away from them and then was handed over to Saber. But it seems like they didn't really do anything with it, and it just kind of was gestating there. And then so now recently it has come about after the sale that Saber also took with it the rights to make Knights of the Old Republic. So like it is with them and not Embracer now. So it is important because basically it means that it's like there's still a pulse. Previously, I thought this game was like deader than dead, like just a skeleton, like already dead, buried, got the final nail in the coffin type of thing. But it seems that there's still some life left, and I figure if I had to take a guess, an educated guess, I guess, they're probably looking for investors right now to be able to finish the game, probably a publisher of some sort. I personally think Microsoft/Xbox should come in and do it, because the Knights of the Old Republic was only on Xbox, and same with Knights of the Old Republic 2. It was only on Xbox. It never came to PlayStation or GameCube.
Yeah,
so there's a bit of heritage with that on that console, and I think it also like would fit neatly into Microsoft and Xbox's like portfolio of different developer partnerships that they have going on. But anyway, that's just kind of me going out. I think it's very neat that these different studios are just kind of selling them. There's another case where there was a studio called Toys for Bob that they did the recent not Ratchet and Clank. What's the other one? The Bandicoot one.
Crash Bandicoot.
Crash Bandicoot. Yeah, Crash
Yeah,
Bandicoot.
that one, the Bandicoot one. What's his name? The Bandicoot, the orange one. He often crashes things, huh?
Yeah, the. Yeah, so like they made they worked under Activision, and they had they made like Spyro, and I'm pretty sure they made like the Crash Bandicoot like remakes in that 4th entry. And then basically Activision was like, they just don't make enough money, but you know what does? Call of Duty. So you're going to be sent to the Call of Duty mines.
The Call of Duty mines.
At the end of time. And so they were basically that, and they were going to shut down the studio, but then Microsoft was like, because Microsoft bought Activision last year, and that finally went through, they said, okay, Toys for Bob, do you just want to go independent instead? And we'll just let you go instead of basically shutting you down. And they said, yeah. And so they're going independent. They're worrying about their own things, but they already have a partnership with Xbox, which is much more preferable to see than watching a bunch of studios shut down, because there's been so many studios closures and people getting laid off that it's a bit depressing if you work in that industry. Even like in the tech industry, there's been a lot of layoffs and stuff like that, and it's one of those where, like, even myself, now I think I'm fine, but there was a point where I'm like, holy shit, it's like I might not have a job at the end of this, but who knows?
But so, you're fine. You said you're fine. You're fine now. I know you're fine.
Yeah, no, I'm fine now.
Okay.
There is basically there's a giant contract coming in for where I work at, where they need to construct a whole new building, and I gotta do the IT infrastructure for it, or help the team there make the infrastructure for it. So like my position will be secured, at least now that I changed company. It's the same company, just different contractor. So I'll be working with them till the end of October, but likely I'll be fine. So, but a lot of other people don't. There's already been something like well over 50,000 layoffs in the United States, and then like 20,000 layoffs in Canada, I think, in the IT sector. But yeah,
Jesus,
that's just how it is. That's just how it is these days. But
yeah.
I don't know, fellas. What do you think? What do you guys think?
So let me just make sure I'm understanding this correctly. So Saber, well, first of all, Embracer is bleeding money. They're letting go Saber, and Saber is being owned by one of its co-owners in a different holding group. Yeah,
basically, if you look at it, they invented this holding group basically just to buy Saber back.
Okay,
because it's some sort of like insider trading sort of weird stuff that you basically have to do this. If as far as I understand. I'm not super corporate that high, but yeah.
Jesus.
Waves, Mike, you got anything?
I mean, I'm glad there's still a spark, you know? It's one of my favorite games of all time, and hopefully they've done a great job already, and they just need a little bit to get them just pushed it towards the end. But it really, you know, I just hope.
Question is, how did a holding company or a production company from Sweden?
Yeah, Embracer's from Sweden.
How did a company from Sweden end up taking on most of Montreal's THQ?
Because they bought them.
I'm surprised that wasn't bought by any other Canadian. We have plenty of Canadian companies. I'm actually surprised.
There's no Canadian publishers, though. That's the thing. Not that I know of.
Is there not? Do we not? I thought
There's
we had someone in Edmonton.
There's studios, development studios, yes, but not publishers.
Yeah, if you're thinking of BioWare, that's not a publisher, Mike.
That might be what I'm thinking.
Yeah, so like there's like BioWare Edmonton, Eidos Montreal, those sort of things. Those are development studios. They're the ones who make the game. The publishers are the ones that fund the games and sell them to a larger audience.
Okay.
So like those are your EAs, your Activisions, your Xbox game studios, PlayStation game studios.
Oh, you got Ubisoft, EA Canada, Activision? Yeah, Activision.
Yeah, but like apparently, I don't know. I guess apparently nobody wanted them, and which is kind of really odd. When they were going to sell them, I really would have figured that Xbox probably would have picked them up, because Xbox at that time was really kind of picking up studios left and right.
At that point, Xbox would own. Well, they probably already own a fucking good chunk of competition out there.
Well, they're right now the largest like third-party publisher after they bought Activision Blizzard.
Oh my god, that's kind of whack.
Yeah, it don't matter to me. That's just more Game Pass for me.
By the way, Microsoft, once again, we are looking for sponsorship deals. Feel free to hit us up.
I'm gonna be real. Once like the old Call of Duties show up on Game Pass, it's gonna be fun.
World of War.
I'm gonna play through those.
That's fair.
As soon as World of War shows up, I'm out. I'm gone.
Yeah.
They won't because they want their, Call of Duty's a live service thing now.
Nowadays, yeah.
So any player base that they bring back to the old Call of Duties is money removed from them.
Yeah, the thing is, but Microsoft has already told them that they need to fix the servers for the old games.
Oh, they told them that?
With, yeah, they
So they're gonna update the anti-cheat.
Yeah.
Oh.
They're doing that for the old Modern Warfare 2. They were doing that.
It?
Sometime last year. That's probably one of many of them, perhaps. Because I know it is a no-brainer after you bought Activision Blizzard that you'd want to bring their catalog over to Game Pass. That's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I guess since Activision's profit incentives are a little,
I would assume that that would be the Call of Duty games, not all of those, and is probably their multiplayer as well. I would not be surprised, but if they can do that and they could fix it, I'd hop on the old ones.
Oh, I would
at least for a little bit. Mm-hmm. You know what else is owned by Activision? I want them to show up on Game Pass. I don't know how it would work with backwards compatibility, but if they could bring back all the Tony Hawk games, that would be awesome.
Mm-hmm. I think all of that's just licensing hell.
Yeah,
music.
Yeah. All the music, yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Well, even Tony Hawk himself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Tom, you'd be more of an expert in this, or maybe one of you guys can let me know. How in the hell is it that something like that doesn't carry over? When they've got the licensing to make it in the game, but they don't have the licensing to republish the game. How does something like that not carry over?
Because they expire.
Yeah, licenses for that sort of stuff expire. So basically, when you make the game... So when they made the game, I don't know, Tony Hawk's Underground 1 or Underground 2 in 2003, 2004, for instance. When you made that game, you would make basically you wouldn't do a lifetime license for that game. And so when
is that just an expense thing?
I think at first I think it was an expense thing, but now I think it's an expense thing. I think at first it was just different definitions for things. Because one, for instance, that nobody really talks about because there's not any problems with is music licensing in movies. Movies, most movies they're not in this sort of licensing hell because I don't know. It's like Top Gun. It's like, oh, well, we can't get Top Gun on Blu-ray because, it's like a Danger Zone. It's like they don't have the license to put that song in anymore.
Yeah. Kenny Loggins wants his check.
So then how are all of these James Gunn movies going to fare in the future?
The what, sorry?
Anything by James Gunn makes is like, goddamn, like Zeppelin. It has, I think there was like Judas Priest, and they're like, you got really old, noticeable music that's probably pretty expensive to license. Have they licensed this stuff for like ever? We've got streaming now. Are they going to have to pull it off of streaming services at some point? Because
I feel they give temporary kind of leave for people to use the tracks, and then they can exist within that medium. But it just means that any re-releases become challenging because you're essentially having to ask to reuse a license that no longer exists anymore, right?
That's
so I
wild.
think so for long as they exist on the streaming sites and not taken down, then they're okay. But the moment they're taken down, then it's then the medium is lost and you have to ask for permission again, right? So
that'd be whack. Huh.
Basically, as far as I understand it, is that with games, when they went to go get the license for the music, they would only say like, it would only be like a 10-year or a 5-year license, because back in those days, how long are you going to sell this game? Oh, for as long as the PS2 is around. Because they didn't think about the future. They didn't think that 20 years from now, like where we're at now, that people would want access for these old games to play. Especially like some people might have thought that like, oh, okay, people would want to play Deus Ex, or they'd want to play Knights of the Old Republic, or they'd want to play, like some sort of seminal game, or like Half-Life, Half-Life 2 for sure. But a lot of these, like Tony Hawk's, like one of these games, or like these BMX games or whatever, nobody really thought, hey, people in 20 years from now are going to want to play these games as they were. And now we have all these licensing issues because they only basically said, okay, we're only going to do 5 or 10-year licenses till basically, when the next PlayStation is done selling consoles. Because we're not going to, they might do a PS2 copy and a PS3 copy, but, they're clearly not going to do a PS4 copy.
I mean, I don't know the intricacies of these negotiations, but wouldn't something kind of similar to how Spotify works, or maybe like a percentage rate of like, listen, we'll give you like a small percentage of every sale of earned.
That's up to the licensees and the licensors basically to hash out. But I think as far as I understand it, I think it's with Hi-Fi Rush that came out last year, which I really, really loved and showed up on the top 10. Just saying. That game, I'm pretty sure all the music in that game is like on permanent license, so they can. It's like in 5 or 10 years, it's not going to go away or going to be an issue. I think those are permanent license. I could be wrong, but I think games now are especially like aware of it, and going forward, I think they're going to be asking more for permanent licenses, which also means that these licenses are going to get more expensive probably in games, and in an industry where these things are already super expensive.
So be prepared for more $100 games being the norm.
Maybe.
All right.
I personally see more. I think AAA is mostly going to go away. I think it's going to go down to AA mostly.
It's very much looking like it's starting to go that route. We were just talking about indie games before we started streaming. And I mean, Waves and I haven't played with Waves yet, but we've been playing the crap out of Helldivers, it sounds like, and that's an indie game that came out of nowhere for me that just captured me.
Same. I mean, it exceeded my expectations
By a lot, and it was $35. I think I paid for it. Like, what the shit, man?
I got it on sale for like half off one day.
Like, I was going to pick up Dragon's Dogma 2. I can't justify that price tag. $90. No.
Yeah. Well, that's just Canadian prices in general.
I can't justify it. I can't.
Yeah. Not everybody can be like me, where I still have my Steam link to my Canadian
game
address.
The system. Jeez.
So I just use euros to pay for my things, and then they're like 15 to 25% cheaper. But anyway,
It hurts.
Yeah,
it hurts.
We'll talk about those games when we get to the end on what we've been playing, but yeah, it's already pretty clear that like AA is making a comeback because the games are just so expensive. You saw that we didn't talk about it because we weren't recording last year about it, but there was like a giant Insomniac leak that basically showed like all their plans, how much every game costed and stuff like that.
Ooh.
And it was like Spider-Man 2, the game for PS5, which was just And then, I only played a bit, but from what people have told me, it's not really that good. That game costed $300 million to make, which is insane to me. And the thing is that 90 million or 90 of that 300 million was licensing fees to Disney to use Spider-Man.
No, that's did Disney? I thought it'd go to. I thought Sony would just have to. Yeah, doesn't Sony own the rights to Spider-Man?
Just the movies.
Oh,
not for video games.
Huh. That's interesting.
That's why Spider-Man showed up in Marvel Ultimate Alliance all those years back.
Oh, okay. I see now.
Oh, shit, man. They're making a bunch of Marvel Spider-Man games. They got Spider-Man 2, Venom, Lethal Protector, another Spider-Man 2 in 2028. What?
Or Insomniac. They are a Marvel machine for the next 10 years. They're making X-Men, they're making Wolverine, they're making, I don't know, X Factor or some stuff, whatever. But
it looks like they got 2 new IPs and a Ratchet and Clank game that's coming out.
Hopefully. Those are the only good ones they make these days. Anyway.
I never actually got to play the last Ratchet and Clank game.
It was pretty good. I liked it. It's a Ratchet and Clank game, but anyway. Also, we good with this topic? Anybody got anything more to say?
Just remind me again. You might have mentioned it, but Saber took all their IPs when they cut ties with Embracer.
I think the ones that Saber developed, they kept those IPs. I'm sure that like some IPs Embracer still owns that I'm not sure. Because like, for example, if we use Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2, Saber doesn't own that IP. Games Workshop does.
Right.
They just work in license with them, right? Same with Knights of the Old Republic, but they retained the rights to develop those games. And I think that's... With 4A, they did retain the rights for Metro, I'm pretty sure. So, we good, Andrew?
Yeah.
Any more questions for the teacher? Hey, you Peach. Tell me about compound interest.
Tell me more about legal licensing fees.
Yeah. Tell me about licensing. And
that could be a whole topic in itself. That is a nebulous subject.
Oh, it's giant. There's a lot of stuff to go into that, which is pretty wild and kind of really crazy. But now, this next news topic that is something that Andrew and I guess Mike here, since we were just kind of talking about it, are very, 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 very interested in. This has to do with good old Dragon's Dogma 2 release. Its sorted release and the state of things and hidden microtransactions and all this stuff. So to set the stage for the game and for the larger audience at release, Dragon's Dogma 2 is the long-awaited sequel / kind of reboot / remake for the original Dragon's Dogma, a game developed by Capcom that came out all the way in, 2013, I think?
Oh, wow.
Or 2012?
2012, yeah.
Yeah, 2012.
A year after Skyrim.
And so, I guess with this one, Andrew, you're our Dragon's Dogma expert. Explain to us what Dragon Dogma... Such a shit title. I hate it. I get my tongue twisted on this damn game all the damn time.
It sort of makes sense in the context of the actual game itself, but could have been a better workshopping title. Anyway, for those of you who are not aware of what Dragon's Dogma is, one, shame on you, because we've already discussed this in a previous episode, mainly regarding what I hope for the future, and here we are in the future, and what I hope for has come true. So Dragon's Dogma is an action RPG game developed by Capcom as a kind of a semi-passion project by I don't remember the guy's name, but he's the director for things like Devil May Cry. He wanted his own fantasy RPG to harken back to his experiences as a child in getting into RPGs for the first time. So he created Dragon's Dogma. It has gameplay similar. You can say it's a weird mashup of, say, Monster Hunter and Devil May Cry. There's class systems. You fight and climb on giant monsters. It's got an extremely obtuse and somewhat nonsensical story. But all in all, it had very, very tight gameplay, and it is something that I hold near and dear to my heart. So for the longest time, we're now in our year of our Lord 2024, there was no sign of a sequel in sight, and last year or a couple years ago, they finally announced that a sequel was in the works, and now here we are. There is a sequel that is out. It is available, I believe, on PC and PS5, and I believe Xbox as well. I can't.
Xbox Series.
All right, perfect. Yeah. So, yeah. Basically, just the impossible dream has been made reality.
And now for me to come in and squash that damn dream.
Yeah.
Not really. Like, yes and no. We'll get into it. But basically, the controversy going on with the Dragon's Dogma 2 release right now is two main things. One, and this is kind of mostly a PC thing as far as I understand, is of course the same sordid goddamn story of broken as shit releases. Broken releases that come out that are terribly unoptimized, that are like... Now, this is apparently worse than Jedi Fall or Survivor that came out last year. That
Wow, and you were very passionate about that.
I was more passionate for that because that was Star Wars and that was a sequel to a game. Now that game is relatively fine. Like, when I came back from when I was visiting in Canada, I could play it through just fine and enjoyed it and loved it. Loved it so much that it made it into my top 10. All the way to the top. It made it to number 2. So,
yeah.
That game was awesome. That's one of those games where I would love to do a spoiler discussion on one day because it's awesome. But anyways, yeah, it's even worse. Like, it's even worse. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that with Dragon's Dogma 2, it's a really, like, it's a CPU heavy game. Because there's a lot of, like, systems in place that are interconnecting, how, like, the AI fights with each other, how monsters fight with each other, that sort of thing. But it's so nasty that there are lists of, like, here's these NPCs that don't do nothing, that you can kill to make the game run faster.
Yeah, it's gotta render so much AI programming and just the models themselves that apparently it's chugging on everything that isn't a console.
Yeah, and even on console, like I've heard, like performances all over the place.
Oh, that too.
Like,
oh boy,
my buddy Gio, he has it on PS5, and he says that like sometimes it's fine when it like it hovers around like that 30. Sometimes it goes up to 40, but like a lot of times when you go into towns and stuff like that, or there's a lot of things going on, it goes to like 20 to the low teens. And then one time he says like it was just a picture book basically, like with how slow it is. So that's on one aspect of it. The other one that is more nefarious, but at the same time, if you know Capcom, you would have seen this coming, is the series of microtransactions. So basically, they did the thing that they did with Resident Evil 4 Remake. They also did it, I'm pretty sure, with Resident Evil 8. They did the thing where they released they have, here's the games, here's the reviews, sending out to all the people. And apparently they didn't send out Dragon's Dogma 2 to a lot of reviewers. Because there's a lot of people I watched that didn't get keys for it. But they get it, and basically they play the game, they sing its praises and all this stuff, yada yada yada, and they talk about nothing about the microtransactions. Then the game comes out, first day, what do you see on the Steam store? 1 million microtransactions. Here's portholes, here's these things, here's like, oh, here you can pay for fast travel. You can pay for making a new character, changing how your character looks. Like, just a bunch of stuff. All stuff that you can admittedly buy in-game, but as I usually say, it's not a good look. It's not a good look. It doesn't look good when you don't tell anybody And then the game comes out and there's all this stuff like, ooh, surprise. There's all this other trash too that we're trying to sell you. And yeah, so Andrew, how do you feel about these issues?
Well, I'm gonna have to play devil's advocate, because if you have played the original Dragon's Dogma, and it's honestly sounding like a lot of these people did not, but there were microtransactions in the original as well. You could spend real money to purchase rift crystals, and those rift crystals could be used to hire stronger pawns, or it could be used to buy equipment in this special shop, which admittedly they were very hyper specialized equipment. Like if you're going for a specific like a lifesteal build, for example, and then you would have something like that. But like the items themselves are really not that good. So most people didn't really engage with it. So from my perspective, it's sounding like that those who didn't play the first are now finding this and are now calling out, which, you know what, fair enough. Microtransactions in and of themselves are just meh. But this is, like you said, not a new thing to Capcom, and it's not a new thing to Dragon's Dogma, since it's really just a holdover or carryover from the original game.
Yeah, these microtransactions, one, yeah, like you described, they were in the first game. I remember them being in the first game and stuff like that. It's like, to me, it's a bit of a nothing burger, but the issue is just say it. Like, just say it before the game comes out. Like, here's all these microtransactions.
Oh, I see. Okay. So that's kind of where the issue is.
Especially, the issue with people is just microtransactions in general. I understand with these day and age, with how expensive AAA gaming is, that, yeah, you're going to, like, developers are going to try and find avenues to make extra money in various different ways. And the way I see microtransactions, especially in a single-player game, is that, like, usually they're pay to win, but you're not fighting against other people. So it's like there's not really an incentive to me. Mm-hmm. In a way, it's almost like you're ruining the intended experience for yourself if you buy them.
Yeah.
Because, like, you know, you have to work for these things and then you just get it. I think that's the way. Does it excuse it? No. Hell no. If you're going to do it, say it up front. Say that you're going to have these things and explain why. It's like, and that's what the guy from Tekken did. Because, like, Tekken, they recently had a shop that's just, like, all cosmetics and stuff like that.
Right.
Because you can make incredibly weird-ass characters in, like, Tekken 8. And the guy basically said, like, straight up that it's like, these things are expensive to make. We have the store that you can buy into. It doesn't change the gameplay. It doesn't make it, you know, it doesn't make it easier or harder for people to play the game with or without it. And so they just set it up front, and people aren't really having an issue with it. But when you hide it away from the reviewers and they don't say anything, and then the game comes out, and then you have all this, you have the surprise, yeah, it makes it kind of look bad. So
okay,
that's kind of my 2 cents on that one.
Then yeah, I would agree with the sentiment that if this was a feature that was hidden from the very few reviewers who got a prior review copy, then yes, it does come across as them looking like they're trying to hide it. And you're right, with this being a single player only game, to purchase the rift crystals, or just frankly any of the other items, is just shooting yourself in the foot, because all those items are accessible in the game itself, and the game is not hard. I can't speak for the second one because I haven't got my hands in it just yet. I need to do some upgrades to my own hardware before I can think about that, if there's a lot of performance things going on. But like, there's no need to spend the rift crystals on those really niche items or stronger, more knowledgeable pawns, because just by virtue of playing the game, you'll get to a point where they don't become necessary. Yeah, I guess, yeah, they shouldn't have hidden it. But at the same time, I have to also wonder, like, what are they even for if, like, purchasing them really doesn't make much sense.
It's for that one person that will buy it.
Oh, yeah, no, there's always that one. Whoever you are, stop it. You're the reason why their industry is how it is. Stop it.
No more pay pigs. No more whales.
Yeah, no more whales. Waves, what do you think of all this?
I mean, like, I hate microtransactions, obviously, but I get, and, you know, in AAA games, I get it. It's to offset the massive costs. I think the issue, is communication. Don't be sneaky about it. Like, if it's an inevitable reality of your game or your studio or whatever, just sit there and say it and be like, hey, this costs a lot of money. This is why we're putting it in here, and explain what it is. I'm with Tom on this one.
Yeah, for sure. Mike, what do you got to say?
I'm kind of like, if you do these kind of microtransactions, especially where it's something like, would you say they're port keys, like the fast travel items, essentially, you've essentially turned your game into one of those fucking mobile games where it's
like the time savers or whatever.
Yeah. But at the same time,
Ubisoft is really bad with that.
Those kind of microtransactions aren't on the developer, and from everything that I've been able to read about it, it's not overly effective of gameplay. It's just they've artificially reduced the amount of fast travel and special currency, whatever their equivalent of that is in the game. But it's not as egregious as other microtransactions, but it's still a single fucking player game that doesn't need it. It's just a cash grab. So yeah, I don't fucking like it either. I don't see it as like a problem with the developers. It's definitely the money men of Capcom, basically just coming in and saying, find a way to make some passive income off this fucking game. I mean, someone's going to do it, so might as well be the developers, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's interesting how you kind of describe it as like a time saver, because that is kind of essentially what it is. For those who are unaware, fast travel was very much limited when you first started the game. So you actually had to go through and play and do the main story beats before you could unlock any form of fast travel through the use of the fairy stones, which are consumable up until Dark Arisen came out, which when they gave you the Eternal one, and then the port crystals, which are few and far between until you start placing them yourself around the map and closing it that way. So
yeah, which in itself is not horrible game design. That's really good game design. You're encouraging people to explore your world.
Exactly. Yeah,
the thing that you've put a lot of time and effort into. But once you've started adding these time savers, it
defeats the purpose, essentially.
Yeah, you're kind of just turning this game into a quick hobby. I get people have jobs, but then just extend the amount of time that you're playing the game. It means it stretches the game out. You don't need to rush through this game in 30 hours.
Yeah. There's no need to rush through. This is very much one you kind of have to take your time with, and then find the different things you didn't find through the New Game Plus, which they had a very good New Game Plus system, if I recall correctly, with carrying over all of your equipment and your levels, which did make the earlier stuff very, very trivial, but it allowed you to go into the later game stuff much quicker. So,
if I recall right, you play as like your main pawn, at least in the first Dragon's Dogma. Like you die or whatever, and you play as the person that followed you. And like that's how the New Game Plus works.
There's a whole bunch of different story stuff as to why your main pawn turns into you, or vice versa. When you do New Game Plus, you don't have to. You can create a brand new character, but you see some familiar faces come the end game, essentially.
It's been a while since I played that game. I really should replay
it. Very fun, especially their expansion, the Dark Arisen expansion, where they just improved on everything and added that dungeon slog that was so atmospheric and had all the really, really tough enemies. Oh, fantastic. Would highly recommend if you haven't done so already.
Really that on.
Can't sing its praises enough.
Yeah, I was going to say, like for the microtransactions, it's literally like just don't buy it. Like if if it don't bother you, don't do it. I understand why they do it. It's annoying. It's stupid. The part where it actually is giving me basically like for myself with a pulse check with this game, the one where it's like basically like it flatlined for me is the performance.
Yes.
Because it's like I was looking forward to it. It's like I wanted to play it. I'm not quite as excited as Andrew is, but I am an enjoyer of the first one. I do like it. I haven't played it basically since it came out, but I was looking forward to playing the game, and then it's just like, yeah, here it comes out. It's a giant like steaming pile of poo-poo when it comes to the performance, which is just a terrible, terrible, terrible shame, and it's annoying. But I really wish it wasn't the case, because same with this game and with Jedi Fallen Order last year, the issue why this stuff hurts so much and is so annoying, because the game looks great. The game looks wonderful. Mm-hmm. And apparently from what I've been hearing, the actual game itself is incredible. It's just the performance is not, it's just poo-poo. It's cuckoo, like poo-poo caca. Like, it's just terrible. And that to me just flatlined the game. So I'm like, yeah, I'll wait a while. I'll wait till it's cheap. Or I'll wait till, until it's fixed. But probably I'll be waiting till it's cheap. So it's one of those where it's like, yeah, I could have played it now. But nope. What do you think, Andrew?
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. Honestly, I was a latecomer to Dragon's Dogma. I didn't really start getting into it until it was introduced to me by another friend in high school. And by then, it was already like a year or two into its release. So yeah, I'll probably be waiting on this one as well. A, because of the performance, and then B, because I gotta do some upgrades on the hardware side of things. But it really is a shame that the performance isn't as good as it ought to be, because even the original Dragon's Dogma, it did not have like 60 frames. Like it sometimes struggled to push 30 or 40 at times when the big set pieces occur. So to hear that it hasn't really improved from that is disappointing, because we are at a point where we should have the capacity and frankly the technology to ensure that these things don't happen, right? So yeah, no, hearing that there's major performance issues is it's disappointing.
Yeah. Waves, you got anything to say?
No, not really. I've never really been a big Dragon's Dogma person. I have, I think, the first game, and I need to sit down and actually play it. But it's one of those that I grabbed on sale and just never really poked at a lot. It seems like a game that I'd like.
Okay, yeah, that sounds about right. Mikey, you got anything else to say?
I might pick the game up if it goes on sale here in the future. Maybe with the amount of bad press it's been getting, I hear a lot of people are just kind of not touching it on principle, whether it be the extreme price tag or the microtransactions. So hopefully it sees a reduction in price in the future sales, maybe a steep one to bring in some new people to get interested in it. I'll look at it then, but I hear it's a bit of a chugger when it comes to the performance.
Yeah,
you're gonna need like a 30 series.
Yeah, the discourse really is a shame, because when Dragon's Dogma works, when its set pieces align and it's really cinematic, not doing cinematics, but when it's feeling cinematic in game, everything just clicks and it's great. But
that game at the Dragon's Dogma originally scratched that like Breath of the Wild itch that didn't even exist for me at the time on Xbox.
Yeah, it was probably one of the trailblazers in that regard.
Yeah, it was really fun. I had a really good time. So if anyone has it on their in their account as a backlog, Wave, this goes for you. Play it. It's a very good game.
I will. I have to.
Even like my buddy Gio here in Italy, he's been playing it on PS5. And it's like all these like little stories, like so what some like people like to say, like the water cooler moments where like everybody's hanging out and like telling their own stories, and that where it's just to me that he was like playing, he was on top of like this minotaur and he's like trying to hit it, and it like it like knocks him way up in the air, and he's thinking, oh, he's done for, he's totally done for, and then his pawn comes in and like catches him with that. Oh my gosh. That's what makes Dragon's Dogma.
Yes.
So, it really is a shame that it's just like, man, come on, company. Like, get your shit together, man.
Yeah.
Companies need to get their like AAA, especially at AAA prices.
Yeah.
They need to get their performance and stuff done.
Yeah, and when the project leads describe these as like their dream projects, you expect them to put their everything into it. Yeah. Passion, like you said.
Yeah, clearly that didn't came into the optimization team. But yeah, that's how it goes. But kind of a shame. But that's just how it goes, sadly. But we will see. We think we're done with this news topic, fellas. We got to move on. Anybody else got anything to say?
I'm good.
Andrew, any more to add to your eulogy?
Yeah, let's move on. Let's move on to something more positive.
Yeah. Hey, yeah, we got the news. The next news topic is much more positive.
Oh,
So, waves before we get in, anything else to say?
No, I'm good.
Alrighty. Well, ladies and gentlemen, on to our last and final news topic before we get to the main topic. Is right now there's last year at Xbox's big summer showcase, one new game was announced. This is a game by Ubisoft, by Massive Entertainment, the developers of The Division and The Division 2, and I think The Division Heartland, but I don't know what's going on with that game. And more importantly, near and dear to me, but they're never going to make a sequel ever again, the World and Conflict games, because I love those RTSs so much. But they announced a open world Star Wars game called Star Wars Outlaw, where you play the role of a heroine during the time between Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, and Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. And it is described as a sort of scoundrel game where you're not a Jedi, you're not, a force wielder of any. You're a piece of genuine scum and villainy in this world, dealing with the different crime syndicate, whether it be like the Hutt cartels or the Pikes or things like that. And so described as, growing woman into this very, very dangerous world where, it's that you shoot first before they shoot you. Or if you're Han Solo, you shoot right after they shot you, and then you move your head digitally.
Digitally shift your head. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
McClunky.
Yeah, McClunky. But anyway, yeah, they announced that game last summer in June, and then basically nothing. They showed a little gameplay trailer as well during that time, a little showcase. But then really kind of nothing for the full year until we get to around now, where we're getting reports in from various different, what do we call it? Like agencies and various different agencies and stuff like that, where the game has been rated. So in that case, it's been rated in Brazil, it's been rated in Korea, and it seems to be, it's expected to have for the American audience out here, an ESRB rating of T for teen.
Yeah, that's fair.
Citing mild language, simulated gambling, and violence. So simulated gambling probably being sabak, mild language being, I don't know, you filthy nerf herder, and then violence, taking a blaster and shooting someone's head off with it. But
Tom, it's scruffy nerf herder. Come on, scruffy nerf herder.
Who's scruffy looking? But basically, this is important because usually in the development cycle of games, when a game gets sent out to get rated, it's either done, as in it's gold, or it's pretty close to being gold. So this is, you send these out at a time when you are secure and sure with how you think the final product is going to be. Like, you don't think you're going to be adding anything that will change, mild language to harsh language, violence to like harsh violence or ultra violence like that. Or, you don't think you're not going to be adding like, I don't know, some sort of like Tatooine stripper club scene that's going to add like sexual content to the game. So it's like, it assumes to me, and it seems like this game is coming along very quickly, and the release might be imminent. Imminent, not like, it's going to release tomorrow. I wish it didn't, because then I could just play it. But imminent, that'll probably come out maybe like May or June or sometime this summer. And as well, it has been shown just yesterday that showcasing, or they did a little post that on April 9th, which is this coming Tuesday, as of when we're recording, there's going to be a story trailer for this game that I assume will explain the story, because if it doesn't, then I don't know what the story is for or what the trailer's for. But essentially, this coming Tuesday, we'll know more about what the game is about and what's going on with it. So, fellas, Mike, you said you've wanted an open world Star Wars game for a long time, and you are the funny one by being a guy who lives under a rock and doesn't understand what happens. You might not even be aware that we are speaking not with magic but with actual technology.
Yeah.
But, like prior to recording, you just discovered this game because we told you, and then you saw the trailer for it. So what are you thinking?
It's more like rediscovered. Like, I remember when the first trailer came out, and it was this huge artistic piece. Like, it was very well done, very cinematic,
pre-rendered CG.
Yeah, and it gave nothing about the game and what it was going to be. For everything that I seen, it seemed like it was going to be a Knights of the Old Republic open world MMO RPG sort of deal, which I was fine with. And then you guys told me that all the new information had dropped like fucking 9 months ago. I looked into it and I am fucking excited. Damn, this game looks tight. You remember what was it, 1077? I remember that game where you were playing as a young Boba Fett,
1313.
Jango Fett, and 1313. That was it. Oh, ever since I saw the trailer for that game, I've wanted an open world Star Wars for the longest time. Anything that lets you do like bounty hunter, or even just kind of choose your own path. If this is going to be like that, that'd be tight. But it looks like it's probably going to be a set story path in this. I'm guessing there's not going to be a lot of like, you can be good, you can be evil. It's probably going to be a set alignment, maybe.
Yeah, I think with a lot of these Star Wars games, there's not a lot of room for choice and consequence, because they want every story to be like canon to some degree.
Okay.
So it's like, or just straight up canon. So there's not a lot of room for choice and consequence. Maybe like in minor ways, but I don't know. We'll see with Knights of the Old Republic, because that's an RPG. So you can be good, you can be bad. You know, I don't think it's absurd for Lucasfilm or whatever to just say, hey, this is the canon ending. This is what the next story is about. Like, I don't think that's absurd, but...
No.
A lot of games do that.
Yeah, no, exactly. So, Andrew, what do you think?
Yeah, no, with regards to the canon, with this being kind of like a more tightly enclosed story that may not even involve any of the original characters, they can go kind of whatever direction they want in terms of the canon. But as far as how I feel about the actual game itself, it fills that itch that maybe we're unique to this, but every Star Wars, almost every Star Wars game nowadays is heavily Jedi focused, and that's understandable.
Thank you.
It's understandable because they're the most marketable. They get the laser swords and the space magic. Everyone wants to have superpowers and swing around a laser sword. But I mean, there are other stories that could be told that, frankly, it could be far more interesting depending on who you ask. Like, and for those in the audience who have been or who are kept up with Star Wars media in general, like the Andor show, fantastic show.
Oh, absolutely.
Nothing to do with
Absolutely.
Jedi, and it is fantastic. So this just scratches that itch. Harkens back to when we played our own Star Wars tabletop RPG, Edge of the Empire, where we were all scoundrels and coming into our own within the space hegemony. I can't remember the exact specifics, but
the Tiana hegemony.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, no, it just brings us back to that.
I can't believe you still remember that pretty clearly.
Of course I still remember that.
Hey, that means my campaigns are pretty good. That's all I said. They're pretty good. Same with my Dark Heresy campaign that we'll never play, because like, man, so many stories that I could do. For the fellas out there that want to play that, play my campaigns, closest you're gonna get is play Rogue Trader.
Yes.
That's the closest you're gonna get to one of my campaigns, and it's good. It's incredible. And it showed up in my top 10, so it's incredible. But, Andrew, you read my damn mind, because it's like, don't get me wrong, I like the Jedi stories. I think they're pretty neat. I love Jedi Fallen Order. I loved Jedi Survivor as well. I think it's a perfect sequel in the way that, like, a Batman Arkham Asylum goes to an Arkham City. Like,
Yes.
perfect sequel. It just improves everything that it needs to improve and does a great game and excellent story. And so that's great in that. But playing that game, one of the lightsaber combat modes is like sword and blaster, where you're using your lightsaber in the fencing style, and then you're using your blaster and stuff like that. And there's some really I talked about it in my section of the top 10 about it, but there's some really gangster executions and finishers that Cal Kestis can do with it, where you're hitting them with the lightsaber and you parry them and you hold the parry and you pull the blaster up and you shoot them in the face and stuff like that. The real gangster stuff like that. That's man, I need a Star Wars, just a scoundrel, you could be just a piece of filth dirt, shoot first, ask questions later, my big bad the ugly sort of stuff. You're pulling a blaster up on somebody, you're just shooting or just not using a lightsaber, really. That's my pulse check on the game. I eat all Star Wars slop, so I eat it anyways. The only Star Wars slop I don't eat is that Young Jedi Adventures, which is funny because it's the only High Republic show at the moment.
Oh,
Because
yeah,
I said,
that's right.
man, I wish it was a High Republic show. And then a buddy of mine will be there's this, there's Star Wars babies. And I'm yeah, that's not what I mean. So what do you mean? And it's oh, it's these young Jedis in the High Republic. And it's oh yeah, featuring adorable creature, Schlub. Schlub Shadow or whatever. And it's no, I don't need that. But Waves, pulse check on Star Wars Outlaws. How are we feeling about it?
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm always down for new Star Wars content because, if it sells, more likely Knights of the Old Republic gets a, better outlook towards seeking an investor. And just more interest in Star Wars games in general. I would love another single play, even a new sort of KOTOR-inspired RPG. Just I feel there's a really big demand for when these Jedi games have been really successful as single-player games. And I think it's a shame they haven't used that to make a full-blown RPG yet, because I think it would sell really well as it's going to be another, 20 years before Elder Scrolls releases, and there's been a big gap in, sort of that action RPG genre for a second.
So we're looking forward to a more...
Outlaws?
Yeah,
I think it was the original thing.
Yeah. Well, it's you were saying that you want these more single-player experiences, which I'm with you. It's Star Wars is one of those things where you could throw to anything. You could do a Star Wars CRPG, and I think some studio, with the success of a certain game that we'll be talking about very soon, I would assume that some people might be looking why don't we do that but Star Wars? And I would be inclined to agree. It's please do that, but good. So I think
but good.
Yeah, but good. So no, I think I'm thinking we're gonna know. I would not be surprised if this coming Tuesday, when they release the story trailer for it, we'll also get a release date for the game. And I would not be surprised if it's in the next who knows, the next couple of months, probably either May or summer release. I wouldn't be surprised, but
That'd be tight.
that's my my hypothesis, as it would say.
It's standard to beat for me is the original bounty hunter game on Xbox or GameCube, whatever.
Oh, the one where you play as Django?
Yeah, that is for me the height of underground Star Wars single player game.
Yeah, I think it'll be a very different experience, but I don't know. I think it could be good. I think it's going to be great. I think out of all the teams at Ubisoft, I think Massive's the best one, because I usually joke and say that I call Ubisoft Ubislop.
I mean,
It's true.
With a lot of their output,
A lot of their output is Ubislop.
Yeah.
But who knows? This one looks pretty good. And even then, even if it's like just some normal like Ubislop, like open world sort of game, just because it's Star Wars, it'll like that IP will carry it.
Yeah.
Where it's like, yeah, I'll play this. But are we satisfied here, fellas?
100%.
Yeah, I think so.
Andrew?
yeah, we're good to move on.
Alrighty. Coming in and to our topic, our main topic, which is the one and only topic, as well as what we've been playing and stuff like that, which we'll get into later. The topic we have this time around is basically like, why do we still blame? Oh man. Why we still play games and how our tastes have changed over time. If I'm not mistaken, I think, Mike, you were the one that put this topic up on the document like ages and ages back.
Oh shit, yeah. Why I still play games?
It's such a nebulous question.
It is a very nebulous question, because like even me thinking about it, because I've had to like think about it the last couple of days. I don't know. Have you guys thought about it much?
For honestly, a good reason for me recently would be, we were talking earlier about Helldivers. This is a game that was honestly like, this is why I play video games. This is an amazing community.
Like to force democracy on bugs. I get it.
Exactly. It's pure nostalgia bait. If you grew up on Terminator, Starship Troopers, any of these old classic like 80s action films, like this feels like home. And it's one of these games where I'm now excited to come home after work and log on and play with some of my friends and just beat the shit out of some automatons. There's some bugs. I'll just destruct some clankers.
Whoa! You can't use that word. That's their word.
Yeah. Said with the hard R too.
Yeah, hard R too. Jeez.
It's a fantastic. It's a game that is essentially being played out as like almost like a tabletop game. Like there's a game master. Some of the developers are actually in the game doing some weird, funky shit that fucks with the lore. The lore is entirely built off of the community and how we react to certain mission orders and how we attack certain planets. It's a damn good game for $30. This is why I still play games, because this is a game company that loves what they are producing and they are passionate about it. So I'm in it for the passion from the people that make these games.
Interesting.
Sweet.
Interesting. You still stick around and you play games because every so often you'll find some beautiful gem, a gemerald, as the zoomies would say these days.
Yeah. I'll usually stick with it. Like if my hours on Steam say anything, I will find a game that will just suck me in, and I will stick with it. Like I played a lot of games.
Still getting your rimmed.
Yeah, I still play RimWorld every so often. There's a new update.
I was just saying there's a new DLC coming out.
Oh my gosh! Of course there is.
Anomaly. Aliens don't exist, but Eldritch horrors beyond my imagination apparently do.
Oh, sweet. Eldritch horrors beyond my imagination.
Yeah. What else? I mean, like games like I played through the first half, like 3/4 of Metro, the original Metro. I was going to go on a Metro binge, and then I found Helldivers. But yeah, a lot of passion in the Metro games. A new game that I picked up is called Laika: AIDS Through Blood. It's Mad Max Furry Road. There's no better way to put it. It's just Mad Max.
Say Mad Max Furry Road.
Mad Max Furry Road. It's you play as like a coyote with a gun on a motorcycle, and it's a Metroidvania.
All right. Just making sure that was clear.
Oh, I think that showed up on Game Pass. I think.
Maybe I picked it up for, I think it was like $10 on sale, and man, it's pretty worth the money. I'd say it's a $20 game, but it's those kind of games that like these are well worth my time and effort to spend $20, $40 to play these games. I don't think I've spent $60 on a game in years.
Interesting. We got the second part of your question as well, how our tastes have changed. We'll leave that for a bit so you can gestate on that.
Come back to me on that one.
Yeah. And then, Wade, what do you think? Why are we still playing games?
Well, for me personally, I love like role playing, even making my own stories. just throughout my life, and I just like role-playing, making stories and stuff. So I think video games are a great outlet and a great framework in order to kind of construct your own stories, hence modding and other things that come around it. But the games are a really great way of being able to role-play through another person's story as well, not just making your own. And I think it's a great outlet to like scratch the itch of being unable to like actually, do the things in your imagination.
Interesting. So you do it like more as a way, like as part of your creative output, if you will. Interesting. Andrew, what do you think? Why are we still playing games? Why are we still here? Just to suffer. Just to suffer.
No, it's not suffering. It's not suffering. Don't get it twisted. No, for me, ever since I first got into games in general, and when I came upon a little number called RuneScape. Similar to what Wave said, it is a way to
RuneScape.
yeah. I just had to weave that nostalgia in somehow. Speaking of Mike's nostalgia, so it was a way to, like you said, escape and kind of let your creativity flow. And not only that, but like on the topic of RuneScape, it really did become like another avenue for me to kind of bond with my brothers. Whether we're playing cooperative, competitive, and even today, it's still a way for me to it still serves as an avenue for me to keep in touch with them when we're playing through like big RPGs, for example. It becomes this sort of event for us to bond and crack jokes and go on stupid adventures with. So yeah, for me, it's the perfect avenue to keep in touch, and it's comfort food. Let's be real.
Yeah,
pretty much. For me, why do I still play? And so I'll give you not the pretentious answer first, but I like games and I like playing games because in a sense, it is an avenue for me to do one of my other hobbies that I really, really like doing, which is video production and editing and, taking things like, I'm going to be real. I'm not a filmmaker. I don't have that drive or really. I think you need people because like film is a collaborative art.
Yeah, you could have fooled me. We've done a few skits on your reviews.
We've done a few skits, and they some of them turned out pretty well as far as like what kind of, especially for a guy who had like just high school education for this sort of stuff. But
yep.
It in one way it is the yin to the yang of me video editing. It's like I play games so I can do video editing, so I can make videos and that sort of stuff and get it out there to you. And I edit videos so I can get the games that I like out to everybody. And so people can enjoy and, hopefully, even though nobody listens to me, nobody listens to my games, and nobody plays. Actually, I do have to give some credit to Mike. Mike will pretty much play a lot of the games I recommend, and just like 5 years later,
Take some time. We'll get to it eventually.
He'll wait till the satisfaction of me recommending something and people liking it. He'll wait till that's gone, and then he'll play it. And
he says he gets to it eventually, and he actually means it.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
I just have a lot of RimWorld to play.
Yeah, we just need to rim job each other. But that's kind of the more, I guess, like goofy, pretentious answer. The simple answer is because I like it. I like playing video games. Like I think they're.
You threw us for a loop there. You said you start with the simple answer first, and then the pretentious answer after. Come on.
I didn't say that. Did I say that? Oops. I hope I didn't say that. This is one of those where, like, if I find this in editing that I said it prior, Andrew's gonna be in big trouble. But
I'm currently booking my flight to Alaska right now. You'll never find me there.
Oh yeah. What a shame. He was a good man.
What a rotten way to die.
My goodness. Yeah, just I mean, I like games. I like playing games. Games are fun. Games are like this mixture of being incredibly fun, tactile, give you that, I don't know, that kick of dopamine or whatever the hell that makes people happy. And at the same time, too, while I'm a huge like cinephile and I love cinema and stuff like that, I think like games have the capacity to be like one of the highest like forms of art, purely because of its interactive nature and the way that like you can tell narratives that have the player has agency in because they're actually controlling them. So I think of that like with a lot of horror games and stuff like that, where the games are scarier and the concepts are scarier because like you are controlling the player, and through that like you give agency to the actions that these people do and things like that. So I think it's like games are just friggin' cool, man. I like it's something I've been doing most of my life, and I'll probably be a geezer and still playing these games. I'll be having grandchildren and being like, why aren't you playing Knights of the Old Republic? But Granddad, that's
Granddad, that's a dinosaur game. I'm not playing dinosaur games.
Oh, I mean, I was there in those dinosaur games. I remember when Rome Total War came out.
That's when it all went wrong.
Yeah, when the video games get bad. But you know, I like playing them. I especially like discussing them. I especially like this little podcast that we got going where we get to discuss them, because we all have very similar but also very different like perspectives. And I said that in my update video, but I'll say it here again, that I really do value your guys' input into these things, and it makes it interesting. So that's why video games are cool.
Ugh, don't get all sappy now. You're gonna make me barf. Ugh.
Yeah. Well, why don't you shut up? I didn't have a good comeback. Anyway, there's also a second part of our answer, and we're gonna rewind back. Mike, have you thought of? You think
how my tastes have changed?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say like a lot of my tastes were circumstance. Like I grew up with my uncle gifted me an N64 for Christmas when I was like, God, I want to say I was like 8 at the time. It's been like 2001, and so I got a lot of games that were on that. So your Paper Mario. So that kind of opened up base level like RPGs for me. It kind of enjoyed that. It opened up me dabbling in. It was a old one that they made as well before Paper Mario.
Just
Mystery
Mario RPG.
I think it is the Mario RPG one. Yeah, like the old.
That's good.
Yeah. Then there's Legend of Zelda. So the puzzle games, adventure games. Never got to play Star Fox. Actually, that was one thing I was really pissed about, because my first Star Fox game was Star Fox Adventures on the GameCube.
Fairfax temperatures.
Oh, with that
Trippy the dinosaur
with the lady.
Yeah. With the lady
No wonder you're into Mad Max Fury Road. It all makes sense now. I'm not knocking it or anything. Just trying to piece it all together.
I never had a PC until like quite recently. So a lot of the games that I played were based on the console that I had at the time. So I had like N64, then it was a GameCube, then a PlayStation 1, which exposed me to like Saints Row, and Rockstar, like fucking Bully, all the GTA games. San Andreas was absolutely my favorite. I absolutely played the shit out of that game for like 2 years straight when I was a kid. But I've certainly gone.
After getting a PC, did you say that you jumped into a rabbit hole?
Yeah. Yeah, I know, 100%. As soon as I got a PC, I had like 2 months off of work, and I was living in like a shitty studio apartment, so I did nothing but played video games for like a solid month. I don't think I left my room. And yeah, I just explored every single game that I couldn't play before. Because you remember that old laptop that I used to have, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, that thing could barely run like Alien Isolation on the lowest settings. Yeah. Yeah.
It's cruel that you think it could have, in even any capacity.
Yeah, but once I played that game like properly, man, just PC gaming. There's nothing better. I'm never going back.
Yeah. I'm a little disappointed nobody picked up on my rabbit hole analogy, considering we were talking about furries, but that's okay.
Get your mind out of the gutter there, Tom.
Yeah.
This is a Christian podcast.
Alrighty, Waves. How have your tastes changed? If they have.
I definitely prefer a more casual experience now. I totally get I don't have 20 hours to play on a game. I get, my tastes have changed a lot because I used to prefer like 12-hour games and, like where a single playthrough takes 12 hours and then there's more. And now I'm like, shit, dude, give me something that I'll play a lot that doesn't necessarily need a big investment on every single startup,
Oh, yeah.
I definitely have shifted in a more casual direction.
I can feel that. I know, like, I used to, like, bang out, like, JRPGs that were, like, 80, 90, 100 hours long. Some CRPGs that are
those
that
were the
long.
days.
And now I'm like, man, the game's, like, 15 hours, 20 hours? It's splendid. Splendid. Wonderful. Just a nice, sometimes nice and, like, short and sweet is pretty nice. I don't complain too much. One of my favorite games from last year, I think it was like 10, 12 hours, was Stasis Bone Totem, which is an exquisite adventure game with like a really great story and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, you get a game that goes from beginning to end, and it's only takes maybe 10 hours, 12 hours. I'm fine with that these days. I'm quite pleased.
Wasn't this also on your top 10?
Yeah, it was in my top 10. It made it really high up. It was on, was number 3.
All right, everyone, give his top 10 a watch. If you've already seen it, watch it again.
Yeah, exactly.
There's my show.
All the way through, without stopping. Loop it.
Have it playing on multiple devices too.
Yeah, and multiple accounts. And give me money. But yeah, is that pretty much it with the Waves? Just little casual changes. Alrighty. Andrew, how have your tastes changed over the years?
Yeah, it's sounding like my tastes have become kind of a fusion between Mike and Waves. Like, I definitely do like getting lost in these large-scale RPGs if I have the time for it. And sometimes life will get in the way of that, or other extraneous circumstances. But when I have the time to actually dedicate to it, like it's great to lose yourself in that. But I've also come to appreciate more of those more tightly focused experiences where they don't involve a lot of investment, or if they do, it's nowhere near as long. So I remember, like, for example, as a kid, I was not huge into platformers. Like, I remember one of the first games I played was Super Mario Sunshine on the GameCube. And I honestly wasn't a huge fan of it because I think, quite frankly, I just didn't have the proper hand-eye coordination necessary to it. But now, like, that one is a very nostalgic experience to me. And I remember when COVID was happening, a few of the guys from when I worked back in retail wanted to play through that. I was able to knock out levels like nobody's business when other people would struggle. So, I've just come to appreciate a lot more of these more tightly focused experiences. And if they can tell a great story in the process, then more power to it. All the better.
Yeah, I can get down with that because I'm kind of like, in a pretty similar spot. In terms of genres, like, I really haven't changed at all, like, really that much. I think I used to like horror games. Now I really, really like horror games. They're in my top experiences usually every year, or the ones that I usually think about the most. RPGs have always been there. I've always enjoyed RPGs. one genre that I'd say that I've been kind of playing less and less every year, mostly because they don't make them anymore, sadly, is real-time strategy games.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
Like, they just don't really make them anymore, which is a shame because I really do like them. Like, I love like Command and Conquer. I love like Rise of Nations. Love Star Wars Empire at War. Even Galactic Battlegrounds.
Or the ones that come out just don't quite feel right, like Iron Harvest. That one, there's just something off about it.
Almost. It's just too janky. Like, almost too janky. It's the same, like, and then there's stuff like Company Heroes 3 where it's like, this should be like a knockout of the park. And then it's like, oh, here's a game that takes place in Italy, and it's just like, no Italian faction. It's like, really? Like, really, dude? And it's just like, shake my head at stuff like that. That's kind of one that, yeah, I wish I could play more, but there's just not a lot more like, there's been a lot more like turn-based tactics or like turn-based strategy type of games that have been released lately that have been pretty good, but yeah, mostly I think a lot of it has to do with time, which is funny because like, yeah, now I still like all sorts of experiences. Like, it's kind of 20 some odd hours and still got like quite a few chapters to go in like the latest Yakuza game. I finished Persona 3 Reload earlier this year, which is like 90 hours. So there's still like, I still got that bone in me for longer experiences. Even like Rogue Trader, it was like I put in, I think it was like 90 hours at the end of it. So I still got that bone in there. I got that dog in to play a lot of these longer games. But I think one sort of genre of game that I've really sort of I used to really play a lot, but now I don't so much anymore, are kind of like more sandboxy games. Like, back maybe almost 10 years ago or like 8 years ago, games like Kenshi I would have ate up. But like now it's like that sort of like whole, it's filled with like Mountain Blade and that's it. There's not a whole lot more, yeah, really with it. I like, if I would have played Kenshi back in the day, another one too that I used to play quite a bit, especially almost, yeah, like 10 years ago, was MMOs. I used to play quite a bit more. Like, not so much World of Warcraft, like that's my brother's alley, and I think Brandon still plays World of Warcraft, but like definitely the Old Republic. I used to be heavy into like EVE Online. And then
really?
I used to be, yeah, like maybe 7-8 years ago. Used to be into that heavy until I figured out that like, oh, that's this is just a job.
8-year-old Tom running with spreadsheets.
Yeah. But some of the stuff was cool when we had like, cause I was there during like the war with the Mittani, which is like some of the largest battles that they had in it. I'm pretty sure like now there's battles that have dwarfed it, but these were like, yeah, like 20,000 person battles with like millions and millions and millions of like actual dollars worth of time investment and ships just destroyed, like wild stuff. But yeah, MMOs, I just like a lot of like online games like that. Yeah, just never quite there. Same with like survival games. I kind of used to like them, but now I just have like, no patience for them. I don't know why. Yeah. It's like some games I just didn't really care for, like Rust and stuff like that. If I was to do it, it would probably be something like a Kenshi, or it's not a survival game, but like, yeah, Mountain Blade. It's kind of for sandboxy type of games. That's kind of more where I'm at. But yeah, that's kind of how my tastes have changed. A lot of it stayed the same, and there's a little bit that has changed, but mostly, yeah, it's RPGs, horror games, shooters.
No, it's good that you brought up the sandbox games. I do find that there's something strangely cathartic about being this godly figure and controlling these little AI ants to do things, like in Kenshi, for example, building up a colony from nothing, or being that sadistic force that's guiding, say, Sims to their eventual demise in a swimming pool. It's why didn't I think of that? Yeah, that's something I still appreciate too.
Being an agent of chaos and Just Cause 2.
See, that's like one of those where I played the demo for that game endlessly on Xbox.
Oh yeah,
like endlessly. And then when I finally got to like, I actually owned it on PC. Like I just had almost no desire to play it.
Really?
Yeah, I played like maybe 5-6 hours, and I'm like, yeah. Turns out everything I wanted to do was in that demo.
Did you ever play the third one?
No, I never played any of them after that.
Oh, jeez.
It's wild because I love Mercenaries.
Oh, Mercenaries.
Oh, that was a good one. Mercenaries 2, that was top tier.
Yeah, I played that in Venezuela. That was a van game.
We need another Mercenaries game.
RIP Pandemic. We're not getting one.
Yeah,
ever.
Can't happen.
But I don't know. Mike, do you feel satisfied with your topic?
I do. This was pretty good.
Everybody came with satisfying conclusions. We got anything more to say, fellas?
I'm good.
Alrighty. I guess we should move in. Finally. Not really finally. I say finally, but it's not really that bad. I'm looking
That's
at the
your
time.
bed calling for you. That's why. It's because it's late over there.
It's only 1 a.m. It's not that bad.
Oh, yeah, fair enough.
It's I'm looking at the timestamp here, and it's like, actually, we're making pretty good time. I'm not gonna complain. But to continue here, the final one that we usually talk about is what we've been playing / watching. So this is a little showcase of us talking about like what we've been playing, what kind of games we've been playing, what kind of movies or shows or whatever we've been watching. And so for myself, I got a little bit of both, but I'll kick it off to one of you guys first. I don't know. Which one of you guys want to talk? Which one to speak up first?
Don't everybody all jump at once.
Exactly.
Alrighty, Andrew, you're it.
All right. I should have kept my mouth shut. Jeez. I guess let's get started with playing the most significant. Oh, I suppose this is where I get to announce to the world that I have finally finished my playthrough of Baldur's Gate 3. Yeah! So, yes, at some point in the near future, you, the lovely audience, can expect our first of many spoiler discussions where Tom and I and maybe a few other friends and pals will hash it out on our thoughts with Baldur's Gate 3 and other titles eventually down the line, and where we stand with our prior experiences, how this compares, and how we think things either should have been or maybe could be improved on for the future. So. Yes, I finished my playthrough of Baldur's Gate 3. This is, for those of you in the audience who recall, I had about 2 playthroughs running. One with some of my old coworkers from retail, and one with my brother. The one I finished is the one with my brother. The one with my coworkers is... Well, we'll say that one's sort of on ice, and we'll go into reasons as to why that one's on ice when we do the spoiler discussion. But yes, I finished that with my brother. Additionally, with the passing of Akira Toriyama, rest in peace, I figured it would be about time for me to go through my backlog of Dragon Quest games. So I had the first 6 or 7 titles on mobile, which is great because it means I can crack them through at work on my break. So I just recently finished the first one over the course of a week through on and off again playing. Fairly, as far as like a first crack at an RPG goes, like it is very, very simplistic, but it is so charming with its sprite work and all the designs for the monsters, and heck, even the use of the silly ye old English for all the text. It is such a charming game. Yes, it is very, very simple. Yes, there are some things that are just like headache-inducing, like how magic very much kind of becomes useless in the later end of the game. But no, definitely, it's interesting to see kind of where they started out with their games, and I am excited to see kind of where or how it evolves over time. For things I've been watching, I recently watched that new Godzilla X Kong. It's no longer V Kong, now they're dating. Just very much, you go in expecting just a monster slugfest, and you'll come out satisfied. It's not high art.
Nice.
They're not looking to. I guess they sort of do a little bit of environmental thing, but they really don't hang on it for too long. It's very much a blink and you miss it sort of thing. You're there for the monster fights, and yeah, I saw that with my brother and we were satisfied. Leading up to that, we also did see we managed to get like a free trial of the Apple TV just so we could watch that Monarch show, which was...
That's like the Godzilla Kong, like Monsterverse or whatever.
Yeah. It's further expanding on the Monsterverse. It's an okay show. Kurt Russell and his son Wyatt Russell definitely steal the show, as they should, because they're fantastic actors. So if you're interested in more Godzilla goodness and you happen to like the Russells, I'd say maybe think about that one. I just wish it wasn't stuck on Apple TV of all things. And I did see Dune 2 as well.
What do you think of it, Andrew?
I personally thought it was fantastic. I liked the casting. I know that a lot of people were disappointed with some of the changes that were made compared to how the book concludes.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I was just too. I'm like a kid in a candy store. You put something with the scope that Denis Villeneuve has perfected, and the superb blend of CGI and practicality, and Hans Zimmer's score. Like, it is fantastic, and how they depict Gaiety Prime and Austin Butler as Fade Rotha, like. The scene at the arena was literally my favorite scene, just by how striking and how just different it is compared to everything else. Yeah, definitely, for me, well worth the price of admission.
Interesting. I have some things to say about that later. Alrighty.
Oh, I know you do.
Waves.
That's why I had to mention it.
Yeah. Waves, what you been playing / watching lately?
I'm watching a lot of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I love Brooklyn
Hell
Nine-Nine.
Yeah!
But playing, it's just been the same old rotation of stuff. I'm in the middle of the semester, so just focusing on that and playing the classics when I can. Doing another playthrough of New Vegas, enjoying every second.
Dork in school.
Can't get enough of those.
Shove his ass into a locker. Makes me sick. Studying for things. My goodness. Yeah. Oh, every time friends that are quite a bit younger than me are like, oh, look at me. I'm in university. I'm in high school. I got to do my tests. And I'm like, I'm so disgusted. I'm so happy that I get to work a 9 to 5 and make money.
You feel yourself rapidly aging when they hear about that.
No. That's it's one of the few things I don't feel like I age in. Like, yeah, sure, I left high school more than 10 years ago now, but it's like good.
Get me out of there.
Good. I'm done with school. I think it's stupid. Good with that. So yeah, apart from Brooklyn Nine-Nine and then just your typical pulling all the strings to make sure that Lazio wins every single one of the games in Football Manager.
Yeah,
not much going on.
Real, yeah, nah.
What kind of playthrough are you going for this time in New Vegas?
I'm kind of splitting it. I'm doing both a Yes Man and a Mr. House Run. I haven't done those in the longest times. I usually always go like Legion, maybe like Independent. I don't know. My first run I remember was Independent New Vegas, so I had to. Do
Yes,
that
man, my man.
Nostalgic.
What in the goddamn?
What in the goddamn?
Smooth, baby, smooth.
Smooth. Oh my gosh.
Ain't a think. You dig?
Oh my gosh. The tops. They really were top.
Yeah. Some people ask me if there's a Mrs. New Vegas, and there is, and it's you. And you're still as wonderful as the day that we met.
Gosh.
And Mr. New Vegas
Mr.
here.
New Vegas.
And I'm like,
Gosh.
Walton Newton or whatever, like Wayne Newton. Yeah, Mr. Las Vegas, as they call him in real
Mr.
life.
Las Vegas. He just has a way of having the best pick-me-ups.
I was gonna almost say like Wayne Knight. This is not him at all. That's the fat bat. And you didn't say the magic word from
yeah.
and then Newman from Seinfeld.
Yeah, it's most people know.
Mickle, what you been playing or watching?
For playing, I mean, we've already kind of touched on that. I've been playing the crap out of Helldivers. That's been my go-to game for the last few weeks. I've probably racked up. Let's check. I've racked up 167 hours in that game so far. I started a new playthrough of Dishonored 2.
Ooh.
Hey.
There's an oldie. I'm doing a Corvo run right now. I had a
With or without powers?
With powers. I kind of looked at it now and like realized the powers are pretty you can get away with just the passive like abilities like extra jumping and speed and all that. It would have been fine. So I'm kind of regretting going for a powered run. I kind of would like to tell the
You want the fun game or you want the not fun game?
yeah, I want to tell the outsider to go fuck himself. But, that obviously Baldur's Gate 3. I went on hiatus around Act 3, probably about a third of the way through Act 3, and I just have not gotten back to it. I need to.
Are you done? Or you're not done yet?
God no. Andrew would probably get the reference. I've just met the devil in the whorehouse.
Oh,
I know that.
Yeah,
I know that reference because I played that game.
Yeah.
yeah. I didn't realize you had played Baldur's Gate.
But Mike.
Oh boy. Oh brother.
If I recall right, there was when we first started talking about it, like originally first started talking about it, you had airs about the game and it not being something that would interest you.
I mean, he had grievances, but he still got through it.
Yeah. I had I have some choice words, but when I have as many choice words as I do with this game, you kind of want to see it all the way through. Mostly because like there's a part of me, well, we'll get to it, mostly in the Baldur's Gate 3 video, which you should finish that game within this week so we can talk about it next week. But anyways, it's you ever pathetically cling on to a game hoping it gets good?
Yeah.
And then you blast through 90 hours of it, and you're like, I could have just killed myself.
Where's the good?
I mean, there was a point in the second act where you definitely could have, and
oh my goodness! But it is what it is. But we'll get to it in our spoiler cast. But
that's what I've been playing. As for watching, I've been spending a lot more time watching TV shows. So I just finished the 3 Body Problem that just got released on Netflix.
How is that? I haven't seen that.
It's pretty damn good. Like I can't say I haven't read the books but I'm aware of the books and kind of like what happens because a lot of my friends have been reading it a little bit and spoiling it for me. But it's from what I could tell, like, and how it like actually tracks with the books, it's fairly similar, but of course they've changed a whole bunch of the characters because the original characters were, I'm pretty sure, like all had like Chinese names, so they just said, okay, we're going to westernize it for audiences.
So they whitewashed an original story? Is that what I'm hearing?
That is exactly what you're hearing.
My
Scarlett
God.
Johansson.
Oh my God.
pretty good there. That was a good show. I really enjoyed it. The first season kind of just touches up on the first book. And then I kind of started watching these social not programming, but like social experiment sort of shows. So like Nathan For You, Nathan Fielder's show about just doing the stupidest shit. Like having people who own like small stores compete with, say, Visions Electronics or whatever, like a big box electronics store. I was saying, like, listen, we're going to have people come to your store and have a sale of like $1 TVs. So can we do that? I'll be out of business. Like, yeah, the TV is going to be in a super hard to locate area where they have to do all these obstacle courses, get past a live alligator and all this shit if they want the TV. And then they can't even get the TV out of the room. So it's technically not illegal, but it's pretty illegal what he's doing. He's breaking the law, but skirting the law in these episodes. And then there was another one kind of similar called Jury Duty, where it's like a month-long jury case. Every single person on this case or on this jury is an actor except for one guy, and they are just fucking with him as a reality TV show. Essentially, they got James Marsden to play himself throughout the entire thing, and it's hilarious.
Isn't that an older show?
Jury Duty? It might be. It's on Amazon Prime right now, and it's damn good. I've been laughing my ass off watching it. I think the girlfriend been watching it.
Mike, have you heard about the posthumous the posthumous producer like credits and the 3 body problem? Have you heard a conundrum about that?
What? No.
This is
people die on set, or
posthumous.
Oh man, the drama is incredible. Basically, to make a long story short, one Chinese guy who was a producer got really, really jealous that another Chinese guy who was also a producer got executive producer role, to the point that like he poisoned and killed them, and now he's scheduled to be executed. And so there's 2 posthumous producer credits.
The show that just got released. Like this is recent.
Yeah.
Okay, now I have to watch it.
I'll link it to you like after this is done.
Yeah,
but
you absolutely have to go see this show now. People died for this.
No, people murdered each other for this show. There's not people died. People murdered for this. Because I was like, oh whatever, I don't care about this thing. And then somebody read about like the conundrum about this, and I'm like, oh my god, this is incredible. It's the most like Chinese thing I've heard all year. Oh boy, what I've been playing and watching. We'll start with what I've been playing. So, I guess start with the year. What I've been playing. I started off the year with Persona 3 Reload and played through it all 90 hours, and I loved it. I loved it. It's almost pretty much everything I wanted with a remake of Persona 3. The only things that it doesn't have is I wish it had FemC, which is everybody, and it didn't have the answer, but we're getting the answer as DLC later this year, so I guess that will be alleviated in September, I believe. Then after that, I played, I started, and I'm about maybe like a third or so, maybe halfway, I don't know. These games can be pretty long. I think the last time I played through a Yakuza game, Yakuza 7, was like 70 hours or 80 hours. So I'm about like 20 some odd hours into Like a Dragon 8 Infinite Wealth, which is, stars our good old boy Ichiban over in Hawaii. This game, it's Yakuza, man. It's funny. Yakuza's at this point 8 entries in, where it's like the Tales of games for me, where it's like a popcorn JRPG.
I haven't heard that series in a while.
Where it's like, I'm not expecting much, but I'm going to enjoy it, and I'm going to like it. Andrew and I, we were, the other day, he hopped in, and we were doing the voices for, like, some characters.
Yes.
Which is so funny, because it's like, they're in Hawaii, but everybody is speaking, like, Japanese. 'Cause
Fluent
I have it in
Japanese.
Yeah. So it's like, it's like, oh, hey, Thomas, like, it's like, oh, this is incredible. It's wonderful. Been enjoying that. Next, the next game, which is also the subject, spoiler alert, of the next video, aka the video before this video, most likely. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, who knows? No,
Timeline's all messed up.
This video will, like, the video that I'm talking about will be out by the time this TomCast is out. Now that I have it in my head properly. And that has to do with the sordid story release of Star Wars The Battlefront Remastered Collection.
Oh boy.
My goodness. Fellas, I don't remember the last time I've done a bad game. Like a legitimately bad game. It's not a review, it'll be an impressions. Because there's no way in hell I'm gonna put more effort than they did to make that thing. But when there's quotes, let me say one quote that I have scripted because it's like really funny. I gotta, like, just to put the tone of how everything is going. But man, like, just a sorry, disgusting release. Like, just bugs, glitches, crashes, terrible netcode, problems up the wazoo, problems that were found in the original game, problems found in the original game in a different version of the game that they ported it from. This is a port of the Xbox version, and there's bugs from the PS2 version in this.
Like, yeah, that's the way we like it.
At least all the bugs are consolidated into one thing this time.
Yeah. Okay, here we go.
It'll make the wiki easier.
I say this live, so spoilers to people who haven't seen this, which you'll see it by the time this video is out. Well, you should. But by the time this TomCast is out, this video will already be out.
Yeah, what we're saying is watch the impressions and watch this.
The impressions. And then listen to this. The fellows will enjoy this. This is the sort of tone we're going into in this one, because it's just like this is me talking about how big the game is. And I quote, "And speaking of dying of diabetic shock, another thing about the remastered collection that is comically obese is the damn install size, because porco dio, it's 60 goddamn gigabytes. And I'm not just talking about how many bites it took for this fat bastard to finish his food." That's the tone we got for this game. And oh my god, how many more jokes. This is the nastiest I've been in a long time. Apart from, like, in my TomCast, I sometimes I'll get a little passionate.
We sometimes
which to be fair, the audience likes that. The audience likes it. Like, I remember when I had my rant with Jedi Survivor, people loved it. People love that rant. They're like,
so
oh
what
my
we're
God.
saying, people, is comment down below if you want Tom to fly off the handle more often, and we'll definitely make it happen.
Please don't. I don't like playing trash. I don't like playing things that make me mad. I'd rather blow my head off. But anyway, so that's that. That will be the next video, or basically the video, whatever. I already explained it. I'm not gonna explain it again. And then the game I'm currently playing right now, which I just started today, is the Alone in the Dark remake that has the one lady that I don't know what her actress name is, and then David Arbor as himself as Edward Carnby. And so, like, this is a remake of a bespoke line of kind of mostly decent survival horror games known as Alone in the Dark. The OG one came out all the way back in 1992, and it basically single-handedly invented survival horror games as we think of today, like as Resident Evil or Silent Hill, like, you know, camera angles and stuff like that, and, you know, like tank controls. It invented pretty much all of that in 1992, 1 year before Mike was born. 3 years before, 3 years before I was born, like ages ago. So, and so far I've been really, really enjoying it. If I want to describe it, it's the AA remake that could. I had like no expectations for this remake, and you know what? It's pretty good. It's pretty good. It satisfies everything I want with a remake of this game. It's pretty decent. It runs pretty decent. The combat's pretty okay. It's a little janky, but it's like freaking what, like $40 or whatever. It's a AA game, and so it's one of those where it's like I'm pretty satisfied with it so far. I've only put in like 2.5 hours into it, and I'm enjoying it so far. And it will likely be the next impressions after the Star Wars Battlefront Remastered Collection. So when you hear this TomCast, the next video is probably gonna be Alone in the Dark. So
Nice.
we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that when we do that. And then finally, for the last game that we've been playing, because I gotta mention it because we've been having so much goddamn fun with this. I got a copy of like WWE 2K23, and we've been making custom characters.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it is a riot. It is a legitimate riot. It is so funny. It is so funny. Like, you know, we got like my guy, I call him the Tomperer. We've got like Rey Mysterio moves and stuff like that. You know, like luchador masked, all that sort of stuff. I got my son Diablo Waves, who's the same thing, like just swole, got the mask, got like reflective blue, like Lazio blue armor. It's incredible. Then there's like Andrew's in this game. We got Quaaludes Andrew in this game. And he's incredible. He is like a force to be reckoned with. Then we have like other bullshit characters that we made up. Like we got like Agent Smith.
Smith.
Yeah, Smith. In the game, we got Inspector Gadget. We got like George Lucas. We got Nathan Explosion from like Ivor Robotnik, AVGN, Nostalgia Critic. We got our good friend of the server, Coaves. He's got some characters I will not mention in this because they're disgusting. They make me sick. Yeah, that's been like a whole lot of fun, and we basically making all these we got Nikocado Avocado.
That's right.
We've been making all these characters for a Royal Tumble that we had today, and it was just like every time we have one of these, it is a riot. It is a riot to, like, you know, if somebody grabs them, it power bombs them onto the ring and stuff like that, and everybody just freaking out, or like me cheering or not cheering. It is so much fun. Or, you know, like if I lose, I get tapped out or something like that, and just screaming my head off. Like, no! It tapped me! So much fun. Legitimately so much fun. So much fun that it's like, man, I almost kind of want to get back into wrestling. Like watching like weekly. The problem is that like each episode is like 3 hours long.
They got such elaborate plots for these things now.
Yeah, you don't know where to start, and the best place to start is just the last week. And then you'll get caught up eventually. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Now, moving on to what I've been watching. I've been watching quite a bit of little things. Let me start with Dune. Dune Part 2. Dune Parte 2, as they would say over here. Which is I will not lie in saying that I left the theater rather disappointed in Dune 2. I like the visuals of it. I like Villeneuve's directing. I like Hans Zimmer's soundtracks. I love the visuals. I love the effects. Like, I love the epic style of it, the grand style. I really liked all of that. I loved Stilgar. I loved Javier
Oh
Bardem.
yes, 100%. Javier Bardem is fantastic as Stilgar.
Yeah, I love Worm.
Worm.
Yeah, I love Worm. I'm happy Worm was in it. I really like Faith Rotha. I like the Gedi Prime stuff. Like a lot of that stuff I really liked. My problem is, and let me preface this in saying that I'm usually not the type of guy to be like, oh, it wasn't like the book. It wasn't like the book. I usually don't care about that because I'm too stupid to read. I don't.
The book function doesn't exist as far as we're concerned.
Yeah, it's like, this was a 1960s crackhead. Like, that's like, whatever. Usually I'm not about that sort of stuff. In the regard for this book, and basically the whole point of it, there are several character failings in it and changes that to me are irreconcilable with the story, in the point of the story, to the point that I think it ruins some characters in this. And so I won't go into spoilers, but basically, like, with Chani and the way she behaves at the end of the movie, I think is like, it goes so against the point of her character and the point why, it's just like, it felt like a really, just a really whatever change. I felt like they did it just to change it a little bit. And it's one of those where, like, oh, we were so close. We almost had a great Dune adaptation. Now we just have I guess it's pretty good Dune adaptation. The Cryo Interactive adventure game, point and click adventure game, is still the best one. Sorry.
From way back then. Wow.
From like 1992.
Yeah.
That one's awesome. If people can get a copy of it or a download or whatever, it's an awesome game. But anyways, it's a shame. I still like the movie. I still think is really good. I think it, like, if you guys can go see, especially in the theater, go watch it in the theater. It's wild. It's pretty incredible.
Especially if you can get the IMAX experience. There's just something with a more fuller sound. Yeah,
like it's disappointing because I really, really, really liked the first one. I really enjoyed it, and I had high hopes for this one, and it really underdelivered. It was disappointing, sadly. And so, that's that. As for another thing that I've been watching that I've been loving so far, and it's been awesome, and I can't wait to... It's gonna end here pretty soon, and I don't know what I'm gonna do with my life when it's done, apart from wait for more Star Slop. But been watching the final season of Star Wars: The Bad Batch, and it has been awesome. Nobody's gonna know what I mean unless they've seen it, but like at this final end of the season, we get like a lot of like clandestine, like imperial top secret like research dealing with like clones in the Force and stuff like that, and a whole bunch of stuff that makes me like take out a notepad and go like, oh man, this is a cool idea for a campaign. This is a cool idea for me. All these like real like imperial nightmare scenario things that are like, holy crap. This is cool. This would be great to have in a campaign. This would be scary if you were in this situation. And these sorts of agencies were after you. Like, we're talking about like double, triple agent, like what's it called? Like Manchurian candidate, like imperial assassins, that sort of thing. Like, not biomechanically, a little bit biomechanically, but like augmented, like clones that have been put through like rigorous like indoctrination programs to be completely loyal to the Empire, that like they failed their mission to like crush a tooth or whatever and like shock their head off, sort of stuff. Like really cool, like in that regard, I have been enjoying it quite a bit. So, yeah, Bad Batch has been awesome. Been doing really. I'm really looking forward to the finale that's coming up near the end of or near the beginning of May here. And then there's 2 programs that I'm excited to see how they go. One of them is, as we mentioned before, Tales of the Empire. I'm really looking forward to that because it's like, yeah, it answers the question of what, the origin of Morgan Elsbeth, which is the one lady in Ahsoka in The Mandalorian season 2, which is like, it's like, kind of interesting. I could take it or leave it, but I'm interested to see where that goes. But more importantly, finally to find the answers with Barriss Offee from the Clone Wars, where in the end of season 5 of the Clone Wars, she was the one who betrayed the Jedi Temple and was basically arrested by the Galactic Republic. And it seems that she's going to become an Inquisitor. So, like, I'm really looking forward to that sort of stuff. I think it's going to be baller.
Yeah.
The other show that I am looking forward to, that's going to be in less than a week now, next Thursday, that I'm looking forward to watching is, and people are going to give me crap for it, but I don't really care. All the lore nerds can shut up. I'm looking forward to that Fallout show on Amazon. I think that Fallout show looks great. Like, just in a visual sense, I think it looks awesome. Like, they got the look right, they got all the technology and stuff right. Some people complain about, like, the power armor. It's like, oh, well, like, there was one, like, shot or whatever, or, like, scene where, like, a guy, like, jumps down with power armor, and instead of, like, a jetpack, he has, like, air vents and, like, jet vents, like, popping out of his hands. And so it's like, oh, it looks like the guy's, like, on a wire. And I'm like, what, are you stupid? You never heard of the Brotherhood of Steel wire team?
Yeah, obviously.
It's awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that show. I think it's going to be pretty good. I think if people come in with, like, if you come in with a lore nerd's expectation, you're never going to be satisfied. Because you're just not. You're just going to nitpick and complain about every single little thing. If you go into it probably thinking it's like, you know what, I expect a decent show, you're probably going to get it. Maybe, who knows? Guess we'll know by next Thursday. But I'll be definitely watching. So, yeah, that's what I've been watching and or playing. So, yeah. You fellows have anything more to say? Anything more in this regard?
So what I'm hearing is that we need to eventually have another spoiler cast of Dune Part 1 and 2 with a few other guests in the server, because I know there are strong feelings both for and against. And then eventually we just need to start recording RPG sessions. We've got all these lovely ideas. It's time to make them happen.
For real.
Yeah, I think yeah, I guess so. We'll see. Oh, damn. My Zencaster's doing something goofy. But, basically, yeah, to end this, what we're going to be doing now. So, now we're going to be changing the TomCast into basically, there's going to be 2 formats for the show. The one format will be this format, which is just a regular episode. And the second format is going to be, the normal format. So, what I mean, the second format is not going to be the normal format. Excuse me. The second format is going to be our sort of spoiler cast where we go in deep about certain things. And so how this is going to work out, I kind of explained it a little bit to Andrew. I'll explain it to everybody else here now for them to enjoy or be shocked or be awed or whatever. Is that basically at the end of one of these normal episodes, we will figure out who we want to do the next, like, spoiler cast or whatever with, and then we'll decide a game. So, like, in this case, the game has already been decided. It's going to be Baldur's Gate 3. And so it might be, like, next weekend we might record it, but it could also be that, we'll wait till Mike is done to finish his game. So I'm going to, this is officially me poking Mike Hey, finish the game. Finish the game.
Hurry up.
Hurry up. Yeah, finish the game so we could talk about it. But, in that regard, but like, after that, when we do the next normal TomCast, then at the end of it, we're going to like basically come together and say, okay, for the next video game discussion, who wants to be in it? And so if it's like, say for example, if it's just me and Andrew that decided, okay, we'll do the next one, then it'll be like, okay, we'll do it on Persona 3 or things like that. Mm-hmm. Or say if it's like me and Mike, then it'll be like, okay, then we'll do, like Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. We'll do things. Basically, we'll decide who wants to do it. It's an opt-in system, but to put a gun to everybody's head, it's an opt-in system, but at least somebody's got to do it. So, if that makes any sense, I think it's pretty fair. That way, if somebody like, say like Mike or Waves is like, oh, I got a very busy month ahead of me, I'm not going to have the time to play this game, then it's like, okay, then it could be Andrew and I or something like that. And so I think it's a pretty fair, and then that'll allow us to, once we decide on the game, there's not necessarily a timeline for it. The timeline for the next episode is when everybody's done. But at the same time, I'm not going to put a gun to your head and force you to do it, but Yet, of course. I'm not going to put a gun to your head. I'm not going to force you. I'm not going to bother you too much. But I do expect that you actually finish the game in a timely manner. So, I'm going to say maybe a month or so. That way, it's like, okay, here's like a month or a couple, depending how long the game is. The game's like 10.
A month, 10 years, take it or leave it.
If the game is like 10, 12 hours long, it's like, okay, we could probably do that like in 2 weeks or something like that, or 3 weeks, and make sure everybody's played through it. But if it's like a longer game, then it's like, yeah, we could do a month or even longer. But it's dependent. Basically, it's ready when it's ready. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Think it's a pretty fair system?
That sounds good.
Yeah, I'll be down for that.
Yeah. And then I'll explain a bit more. There's a new document as well about games to put on and stuff like that, and stuff like that. But yeah, we'll discuss it after it's everything done. But basically, that is the end of episode 12 of the TomCast. It seems that we didn't make it all the way through it without encountering some difficulties, probably because of my internet, but it is what it is. We'll see how it goes. But there's a reason why we have these backups. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. If not, I'll just chop a good portion off or something. Who cares? But any parting words before we go? I guess before we go, officially, the next TomCast will be the discussion on Baldur's Gate 3. That will be the next one. So,
oh boy.
And that'll be, in a couple weeks, recording anyways, and then finishing it, we'll figure it out. But we'll see how it goes. I don't know. Waves, you got anything to say to the gang?
Just everybody stay safe, keep on thriving, and hoping the best for everybody.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Mike, you got anything to say?
Stay in drugs, don't do school.
Yeah. No,
Real.
It's, hi officer, how high are you? And then, Andrew, you got anything to say? Any sweet parting words?
Nothing sweet. Just gotta keep up with my usual shilling. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that nonsense. Watch all the other TomCasts. Watch all the other reviews. Watch the top 10s. Have them just play in the background. Multiple screens, multiple devices, multiple accounts. And have yourself a wonderful day.
Well, that's pretty much it, fellas. This is Tom, the Chosen One, hoping you're all having a wonderful day and or evening wherever you are on this planet. So, with that, take it easy.